Hey stars, it's your girl Kristynalexis and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I am really excited because we are going to be making a roast, you guys. I've never done a roast on my channel and it's probably one of my favorite comfort foods to make when it is cold outside. So we made the roast, you guys, and I have to tell you, the roast was absolutely fire. You are going to love this recipe. Definitely try it out. And if you do, come back and let me know what you think. I'm gonna also in the video give you some other ideas of things you could potentially try and play around with if you decide to make this for yourself. I'm telling you, if you want something easy for your family, the only thing for this one is you for sure have to plan your time, your cooking time, because this is not one of those meals you can come home after work, put in the oven and eat in that same evening. Otherwise you're gonna be eating too late and we don't wanna do that, okay? So all right, you guys, with that, let's go ahead and get into it so I can show you how I made this roast. Okay, you guys, let's go ahead and get into it. So I will be using balsamic vinegar, seasoning salt, garlic salt, and black pepper. I basically am going to season the roast, well actually Brian is, but we're going to season the roast with the seasonings, and then the balsamic vinegar we put all over the bottom of the pan so that it can just kind of be in there soaking up in the meat. Once you're done seasoning the first side, you're going to flip the meat over and do it again. Before we put the meat in the oven, we are going to sear it on the stove, which basically is just, we've got the skillet up really high. We're going to let it cook for less than a minute on each side just to get it brown, and then we're going to place it back in the pot. So it's time to cut up our vegetables. So we're starting with the onion. We're going to go ahead and cut the onion up, and then we will place the onion on the bottom of the pan. This is important because, in my opinion, it's what's going to help you make your gravy, and the gravy is the most important part of the meal, with the exception of the meat, obviously. But we need to cut these up. We're going to cut these where they are circles and place the roast right on top of them and just kind of like spread them out all over the pot. Guys, this is actually the funnest part of making the roast. So you're going to add some flour around the roast, and it's actually pretty easy. You don't want to put a lot because you want to make sure when you put your boiling water in the pot, you're able to dissolve all of the flour. So I have Brian just doing a little bit, just lightly dusting off the roast before he adds the water to the pot. And this is really important because this is how you're going to make your broth, your gravy, that is going to just like soak in, or the roast is going to soak in as it cooks, and it just comes out so yummy. It's kind of like when you're smothering pork chops or chicken breasts or anything like that. You make your gravy. Some people use cornstarch. Some people use beef broth, but I decided not to use beef broth because we seasoned our meat pretty well and I didn't want it to be too salty. So Brian's just kind of getting it all in there, and now we're about to get our boiling water. Okay, you guys, so there is a little bit of a technique that you need to use when you're pouring this boiling water. Make sure you cover up all of the flour because you don't want any clumpy parts. You want to make sure you dissolve all of the flour. And if you can, it's probably a good idea to get the water to be about the level of the roast, because some of it is going to evaporate if you're using a pot like mine. Sometimes if you have a really tight sealed pot, you'll actually end up having more juice come from the meat. But the one that we use, because we had this foil over the edges, ended up letting some of the water evaporate. So we didn't have as much water. We actually had to add a little bit of boiling water at the very end. But here is the vinegar that I showed you earlier. So this is the balsamic vinegar, and we're just adding this around the roast just so it can get into that water that we just poured in. And then while that soaks, Brian is actually going to finish cutting the rest of the vegetables. So he is going to skin the potatoes right here. And once he gets done with that, he's going to cut up the potatoes into like cube size, like they're almost like cubes, but you don't want to go too small because you don't want them to cook too fast. So he's basically just cutting them in slices, and then we're going to add them around the roast. And then we're going to do the same thing with the carrots as well and add everything to the pot. Y'all, can we just give a shout out to Brian though? He's the real MVP for cooking all this food and cutting everything up. I was so tired the night that we did this that I asked him if he would help me, and he was a real trooper. He cut up everything, did everything so I could record this video and get all these nice clips for you guys. So make sure y'all shout Brian out in the comment section, okay? He's the real MVP for this video. But now we're gonna add some more of that boiling water, and then we will season the vegetables. Now this is important because you don't want your vegetables to be bland. If you decide to modify this recipe and use beef stock, make sure you don't use the seasonings on top of your vegetables because you run the risk of everything being kind of salty. So be sure to play around with it, you know, do what you do, but at the same time, like, keep that in the back of your head because you don't want it to be salty. But you guys, look at this roast. You can't tell me this does not look fire, okay? It looks fire. And I have to tell you, it tastes fire too. This was so delicious. We ate this whole pot up. Everything in here was gone. I don't even know if we made it 2 days with this meal. The whole family loved it. The twins loved it. It was bomb.com. So I just have to tell you guys, definitely try this recipe out, especially right now. Like, there's a lot going on and we need some hearty, filling foods that are gonna make us feel good and make us sleep well and all that good stuff. So if you guys decide to try this recipe, please come back and let me know. I always want to know if you guys do, but I just have to say, it's so easy. It takes a little bit of time to cook, but it's worth it. It's worth every single minute. Stars, I really hope this recipe was easy enough to replicate. Like I said, the prep time isn't that bad for this meal. The biggest thing is just making sure you have enough cook time in the same evening you decide to eat the dinner. This also would be a really great Sunday meal or a Saturday meal. Like, this is something that would be great for a day you're gonna be at the house all day. But with that, you guys, thank you so much for watching this video all the way to the end. I appreciate you and you are the real MVP. Drop your star in the comment section and hit the thumbs up button on the way out. And I will see you guys next time.
Give me a fix, tell me if it's whatever that's wrong. So give me something now. Oh.